What's up, y'all? Welcome to episode 44. 44?
44.
44 of Feel the Heat. We are back on track after missing, I think, 2 weeks, but we recorded last week. We're recording this week again. However, we do not have a rundown this evening. I take full responsibility for it. I had a very busy day. So this might be a little bit of a wild, wild west type of episode. But Michael, how are you this evening?
I am doing well. I've had a good week so far. A lot of things are working out. And it all started with a Super Bowl that went the way I wanted it to.
You and I both.
I wanted the Rams to win, not because I have any sort of connection to the Rams, not because I'm happy for their 15 fans that went to the parade. Just more so I wanted the Bengals to lose, and that made me happy.
I'm just an OBJ fan, so good for him. It was fun.
That was so sad when he went down.
Yeah.
Well,
very unfortunate timing.
He went down. I thought Matt Stafford was going to be out, and then it looked like Joe Burrow was going to be out too. I was like, we're about to be in for the worst fourth quarter in Super Bowl history. And then it actually turned out pretty good. But sorry, can I just say that Rams parade was pitiful? I don't know if you saw anything.
I saw a few tweets, but again, I've been super busy today, so I haven't really been online much.
And the players were talking up on the stage, and you could hear everything super clearly. There were no chants or loud noises coming through.
I'm surprised kind of for LA. Like LA loves a good event, but maybe it's just not the right type of event.
LA doesn't care about football though.
No, I know that, but just in terms of like the social component of it, LA is very big on like, let's do everything always.
I don't know what it is. And I say this as a person who has had the luxury of going to a couple championship parades, right? Like some cities never get the chance to. I've been to 3. I went to the Marlins in 2003. That was pretty packed. I went to Heat in 2006. That was pretty packed as well. Like I could barely see anything. And I went to the first one after they won the first with LeBron. It was a hazard how many people were out there. On top of that, the temperature was way too high. So like, I saw that parade and it made me depressed. And now all I want more than anything else is for the Heat to win, not for them to win, not for Victor Oladipo or anything like that, just so that people can see what a real parade is like. So
wow, your priorities are really in order.
Yeah, it's all about the parade. That's why you win championships, not for the trophy, not for the glory, the Hall of Fame resumes. You do it for the parade and nothing else.
This is definitely on brand for you. Let me just say.
I mean, could I be anything else?
But you, Mr. Michael, I don't think so.
But the Heat are 2-1 since we last potted. We last potted after they beat the Wizards. They played 3 games since. They beat the Pelicans. They beat the Nets, and they lost to the Mavericks. Biggest takeaway you have from that 3-game stretch?
I don't know. It has to be Bam, right? Like that's top of mind for everyone. And I know we kind of touched upon this before we started recording, but when Bam won gold in the Olympics and he came back, I was like, okay, we have unlocked a new level of Bam. This is great. I'm excited to see, how he progresses throughout the season. Then he got injured, came back. This is an even better level of Bam. And I was not expecting it. And I'm pleasantly surprised. And honestly, I don't think it's a phase, and I don't think it's anything that's going to even keel itself out. I think this is the beginning of a new Bam. I think it's only going to get better, and I think that he's going to be a beast in the playoffs.
I would love to come with some great deeper take on some other side, like Lowry being back has definitely helped out. It was nice to have certain players back in short stretches, but obviously they didn't last. Bam is the big takeaway. Bam really is the big takeaway because he is playing that more aggressive style of basketball that we have been asking for such a long time. Is it here to stay? I'm not ready to say that yet.
I'm ready.
I think it can be. I need to see more, right?
That's
I don't
fair.
think either of us is sure in that. Nobody wants to take a small sample size and run it from there. However,
no, there's something different just in his eyes and his body language and just the way that he carries himself. And I don't know if it was maybe him when you get injured, you don't really know what the prognosis is going to be. You don't know how long you're going to be out. You don't know what you're going to look like when you get back. I know, and I think we talked about this offline. A lot of people were talking about like his conditioning and him not missing a beat. And to me, I didn't really understand that. Like, you hurt your thumb, you didn't go down with a knee
Yeah,
injury. Like,
he definitely
he
was
was
running.
clearly going
He
to
was, yeah.
stay in shape. So I wasn't concerned about that. But in terms of ball handling and even just confidence out there,
Basketball shape is different though. No matter, like, you can run all day long. Like,
sure, but to
specific.
me, it's just like it was a thumb. So I don't know why anyone kind of second guessed that in the first place. But to me, I just think he came back, and whether it was because he felt like he had something to prove or he lost time not being on the court, there's just something different about him, and I'm all in.
Here's the interesting thing. In the month of January, when Bam first came back, Bam Adebayo in, I believe it's 8 games, scored 15.1 points per game, making 5.6 attempts on 11.4, right? 5.6 shots on 11.4 attempts. In the month of February, he is scoring in 7 games, 22.9 points per game. That is a 7-point improvement. Actually, 8 basically, because it's 15.1 to 22.9. And his shot attempts are up from 11.4 to 16.3. All of that while still averaging higher rebounds than he was in the month of January. The only thing on there that's really taken a significant dip is assists, right? His blocks are down a little bit. So are steals, personal fouls as well, which is a good thing. But Bam is scoring so much more, especially with Tyler missing the last couple of games too. That's a big help. Obviously, when you have the lineup fully ready to go, is he always going to take this many shots? No, but he's doing it because we need it. And that's what we've wanted to see from him. So to Bam Adebayo, who is starting to shut a lot of people up because a lot of people started yapping, saying, trade Bam, we have Yurt. Just do this. It's like, listen, there's
Those
more
were awful takes to begin
terrible.
with, though. Let's not sugarcoat that. If you said that at any point, you need to just reconsider a lot of things in your life.
I agree with Yurt getting minutes.
Sure.
I've always agreed with that. I think he did well enough in the time that he played to deserve minutes.
Yeah, but to get rid of Bam and rely on Yurt,
or
laughable.
believe that Yurt is any better than Bam. Like, I mean, it's not even close, because even at his worst, even when Bam was averaging those 15.1 points per game, which isn't terrible, he was still a top man. And this is maybe like a top 3 one-on-one defender in the league. I'd put him in top 3. Obviously, you have to put Draymond Green up there, probably number 1. And I'm stealing that from Nikias. Nikias has said that. Bam has to be up there as well. Maybe Giannis could kind of creep into there. But Bam has been killing it on that end of the floor. And now he's doing both. It was yesterday that they played the Mavs, right?
Yeah.
Yesterday, he defends against Luka. He stops him, which is fantastic. And a lot of people, I saw somebody put out a tweet, something like, oh yeah, what a great highlight, a 6'9" guy on a 6'7" guy. Like, what are we doing?
I don't know.
Has that person never watched Luka Doncic take
Apparently
anyone
not.
on? That's a difficult thing to do. Bam goes and does that, and he also plays the offensive side on the floor in that same game. Stuff like that is what we've been dying to see from him for a long time. I think it helps kind of lift the burden off of everybody else's shoulders. And when this team is fully healthy and together, if he can continue to be that aggressor, it gives everyone else so much more opportunities. So I'm loving that, because it's a step that I wasn't sure we were going to take this year. And I think it's unlocking us to that next level.
Yeah, I feel like I was very critical of Bam this offseason and even heading into the season. And it was never based on talent or skill. And it was not even a lot of the time based on what he was physically actually doing. It was more just that I needed him to look at himself as the guy instead of just someone there to make other guys look better. And he's that guy. And I'm saying we saw it a little bit, a good amount actually, after that gold medal. Even him parading it around, I think that kind of unlocked a part of his personality that we may have not seen before. But this Bam, and I'm telling you, I'm confident in saying it's here to stay. And I think that playoff Bam will be, even better. But this begs the question of, is there anything that you've seen lately that you haven't liked?
I don't like the way the Heat are closing games.
That's what I was exactly going to say.
So there's somebody new that has joined 5 Reasons. I would totally butcher it if I even tried to do the name. So I don't remember it. And for that, I apologize. It's a TikTok girl that we brought on that does like Heat TikToks and stuff.
Okay.
I don't know if you know her name. I apologize. I will try to add it in the description if I can. But she put out this TikTok that was hilarious. And it's, oh, I don't know why I'm expecting anything different when I know you're just going to let me down over and over and over and over again. And it was talking specifically about the Heat at the end of games.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, how could you expect anything different? And it's just so strange to me the way it's been going, because it's your best lineup out there. It's not like you're throwing out scrubs. It's not like you're throwing in the towel. It just seems like they always like take their foot off the gas and just kind of let go. Now, this could be intentional, and they could be listening to this podcast and saying, oh, you know what? Michael's right. We can kind of take off the gas a little bit.
I think you mean Mr. Michael. Mr. Michael's right. They wouldn't just say Michael.
If anyone anywhere remotely related to the Miami Heat organization, be
Mr. Michael,
be it player,
but that's your name, Mr. Michael.
Be it player, be it front office, some random accountant for the Heat.
You know, I
Pat
think
Riley
I'm
himself.
I'm gonna have to drop some DMs this evening. I have a few people in mind. I have a few people in mind. Now that you've said that, I think I'm gonna have to make sure that someone refers to you as your proper name of Mr. Michael.
But that doesn't count because that's you telling them to say that. I'm saying, like, if somebody actually listens to this, if somebody actually listens to this and comes back to me and is like, oh, how's it going, Mr. Michael? I would be like, because like Timmy from Bahama Rican Boys has mentioned it multiple times. I know he listens to us. That's
Mr.
a bummer
Michael.
that he calls me that. It is what it is. But if somebody related to the Heat, right? If I ever like got a chance to meet Jimmy and he's like, oh, well, if it isn't Mr. Michael, I would walk out. I would immediately walk out. If I could have an interview set up with him, I have a new life goal
now to get someone from the Heat unprompted by me, which I may have to do now as well.
And if it was Victor, I would fly to Chicago and I would stub your toe. I would watch you walk and hit your toe.
It's a very odd threat to be making.
I don't want anything actually bad to happen, right? I'm not gonna like murder you. That's terrible. I'm not gonna like steal from you or
why?
Like
thank you. You're not gonna murder me.
But like stub your toe. The moment you stub your toe is the worst moment in your life, right? That initial moment. So
yeah,
I would do that if Victor Oladipo ever referred to me as Mr. Michael.
And I can't wait till this happens.
What were we even talking about? Look at
closing lineups. Here's what I will say. I have absolutely no proof of this. And also I'm not making an excuse. However, do we perhaps think a lot of it has to do with, at least lately, the fact that we're just going to keep talking about this all season because that's how it goes. Injuries are a thing. We are injury prone. We have a lot of people out injured now. Listen, do you maybe just think at a certain point, again, they should know better and I'm not excusing them, but is it just a matter of being gassed?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so. I don't think they're playing that many minutes where I'm really thinking to myself, okay, they're like really gassed here. For example, the Nets game. I mean, they were up by a ton. That game was almost out of hand. The Nets did outscore the Heat 35-24 in the fourth quarter. Their minutes aren't anything that are really, really freaking me out. I mean, Lowry played 36, Bam played 37, Jimmy played 34, PJ Tucker played 30.
To me, it's more the types of minutes they're playing, though. Like Bam's carrying a lot of the offensive weight. Obviously, what Kyle and Jimmy are doing defensively, PJ's out there. So obviously missing Tyler, I think, isn't helping. I don't really trust Duncan to close. And again, it's not really against him. Right. So I just think he's not that guy. I don't know what it is, but I do know they need to figure that out quickly because it's going to be a huge problem in the playoffs if we can't get it sorted out.
It's just a matter of bringing that same intensity, at least to the defensive side of the floor, right? So I could kind of see that offensively for the Heat kind of tapering off, especially since although they are a much improved offensive team from last year and they are a good offensive team, this team's bread and butter is defense, right? I want to see you keep that intensity on that side of the floor. And that's where I feel like it kind of tapers off a little bit. Now, again, I do also have my theories that with the Heat being now the 1 seed in the East and everybody's starting to talk about them a little bit more and more and more and more, other teams step up their game. Other teams kind of get ready. And so when some of those last bench guys get to come in, they're like, oh, I get to play against the Heat. I'm going to burn them on this. But it's just one of those things that I want to see them get under control, because if you can't close out a fourth quarter, you're in trouble. And this team can, and they have their moments where they have, but it seems like we're at that middle point in the season where they're just not doing it. And this is not a trend that I want to see continue, especially if we're still in contention for the 1 seed come the end of the season. I don't think it's the most important thing in the world. If you're 2nd seed, you're still probably fine. If you're 3rd seed, you're still probably fine. But if they're in contention,
I more care about the actual matchup than where we're seated.
I would agree with that, but the way I see it is I would never play for a certain matchup. I would just play to get the highest possible.
Oh, I would 100% play for a matchup.
And I think that's what they
if it was guaranteed. I would not take a risk. So I would not just willy-nilly go about it and say like, oh, well, I bet if we get in this position, we'll play them. Like, that's not what I'm saying. But if it was like almost as good as guaranteed, I will absolutely play to get the matchup I want. That's like strategy to me. Why wouldn't you do that?
I know. And I see the strategy and I understand it. I just think so, like, okay, if I look at the standings right now, Heat are 1st, Bulls 2nd, Bucks 3rd, Cleveland Cavaliers 4th. Who thought we'd be saying that on February 16th? Philadelphia 76ers 5, Boston Celtics 6. That's the thing. I'm not.
Oh my God.
What?
Tristan Thompson signing a deal with the Bulls. The Pacers just waived him.
Well, I mean, that kind of makes sense.
Oh my God. Get TT out of my city. That's nuts.
You don't like Tristan Thompson?
No, I do not like Tristan Thompson. I don't think that's someone who treats.
I don't know anything about Tristan Thompson other than he's an incredibly mid basketball player.
Yeah, the way he's been treating the Chloe situation, just as a woman, I can't support that. So.
And I will defer to the woman's opinion on that. And cool, I'm fine with disliking Tristan Thompson. He looks like a douche anyways.
That is not a move I expected. Anyway, I'm so sorry.
So Tristan Thompson is now a member of the 2nd seed Chicago
Bulls. Not yet, but coming up soon.
Expected to become a member of the Bulls.
Yes.
I'm not playing for matchups. I wouldn't play for matchups personally.
I absolutely would.
I just play the game.
I would. Again, it's not that I would take a risk on it, but if I could get it almost guaranteed, absolutely, I will get the matchup I want.
Well, we'll see the way things shake out. I would say Heat Culture Player of the Week. We can do it.
Mine's PJ.
Okay, cool. Because I already said mine is Bam.
Bam has been my most impressive, but culturally, I'm just going with PJ. I feel like in the last few games, maybe even last week too, like his intensity has also gone up. Like that man leaves it all on the court, all of it. Doesn't matter if it's offense or defense. And if we're really going to go with culture, the man's sneaker game is insane lately. Insane. Like I need like a PJ sneaker cam.
I've never known sneakers as being a big part of Heat culture.
Man, changing it every quarter, the stuff he comes out in. The Heat actually have started a sneaker watch on their TikTok.
Yep, I did see that.
And he's featured like 2-3 times every TikTok because you can't not. It's just, I love it. Love PJ.
Doesn't he like rate people's shoes too?
Yeah.
Or he like rates fits?
Yeah.
It makes sense. I would love to have PJ on an episode and we could rate fits and he could tell me why I'm super wrong.
Michael.
All he would tell me is you have no idea what fashion is.
For sure.
And I would tell him you're absolutely right.
Yeah. Oh, what a dynamic that would be though.
I really truly have no idea. He'd be like, what? That shirt's great. Look at that seam where you can see the dude's nips. Like I'd be like, no, thank you. No nips for me. Thumbs up. If you're listening,
I'm really taking a great turn.
Look, my Heat Culture Player of the Week is Bam. I agree. Like culture is that nitty gritty. It's that, kind of unseen stuff, the stuff that doesn't always come through on the box score. Completely agree with that. But the thing is, Bam has already been doing that like all season.
Yeah.
And now he's adding the box score. And it's not even like he's just like, oh, he's doing slightly better. No, he's actually going out there and being exactly what we want him to be. And he's doing all of it. Now, I hope he still has enough energy for later in the season and he's not just using it all up now.
He's a spring chicken.
He's 24, man. That guy's got energy.
I think people think that he's older a lot of the time, right? Don't you get that impression like that
I will
they've been
put my hand
he's-
up for sure. I
Yeah,
just saw
like
his
it's as
age.
if
He's
he's just been in
24.
the league for like 9-10 years, which I think is good. It speaks on his maturity and kind of his leadership qualities. But yeah, he's a baby still.
And let's be completely honest. There are things that Tyler does that remind you of how young Tyler is.
Oh, absolutely, for
but
sure.
there's a lot of Tyler's game that just seems like a much more mature player.
Yeah.
Right. So
yeah,
I mean, the Heat hit home runs on those two. Bam being
Across the
24
board.
and now already doing this.
Mhm.
Again, we all seem kind of desperate to like, why isn't Bam doing it yet? Maybe let's give up on him. The dude is nowhere near the prime of his career
No.
yet. When he gets to the prime of his career and he does have it all together, man, this guy's going to be competing for a lot of different awards.
The future is bright.
He really is. So listen, Bam is my culture player of the week, because when you come back with a vengeance the way this man has recently, you gotta give it up for him. So a couple Heat related things that we have to cover outside of the games. You mentioned Tristan Thompson.
I did.
Released by the Pacers, which is where he ended up at the deadline. Let's talk Miami Heat deadline.
Let's. Quiet on the Western front, except for getting rid of KZ, which is all anyone wanted. And again, no shade to him. I've been saying this. Sometimes environments, everyone just needs a fresh start. Best of luck to him, truly. But yeah, I think we called it. We didn't really see any significant moves happening. I'm not upset by it at all. Again, I would have trusted them either way, but I think that was the right move, or lack thereof, I guess.
I mean, KZ was an interesting move because we got no player in return. We got, I don't even think we got a pick in return. The Heat got like a release of some restrictions on picks. So now they could use other picks for trades.
Yeah.
We're clearing up space and making room for potential future additions with picks. Because if there's one thing we know about Pat Riley is he's either going to draft a hell of a first round player, a la Tyler and Bam Adebayo, or he's just going to trade away the pick entirely because he's like, F them picks. Let's
not forget about the buyout market that's currently still up for grabs,
including
our very own Goran Dragic.
He can't come back though, can he?
So I'm unclear on the specifics about this. I think through a buyout, he actually could. I thought we couldn't re-sign him through like a trade.
But it was probably we couldn't if Toronto bought him out, maybe.
Correct, because it had to have been within a year time frame. Now, I will not lie. I still, and people are going to hate me for this, I still see him ending up in Milwaukee. I don't want that. I want him back. But just in terms of what Milwaukee needs right now, and in terms of the fact that obviously Goran is chasing a ring because he, unlike Bam and Tyler, is not a spring chicken. So the fit makes sense. I know that there's some people who are going to hate that. I don't love it. I'm not going to root against the man for going to a place that makes sense for him. I also... there's a rivalry that started with the Bucks. I respect the organization in terms of the team itself.
It's not the Celtics. It's not the Knicks.
I don't hate them anymore either. But the team itself, like, there's some pretty good work ethic on there, especially under Giannis. So I won't be mad about it. Would I like him back if even for nothing else, but just have him around just with that team? The man oozes Miami Heat still. He's working out with us. He's wearing all our gear. Let him come back.
I love me some Gogi, right? Like Gogi's great. He was one of the only solid things we had left after this organization looked like it was going to head straight to an abyss, right? I just don't see how it makes any sense on the Heat, considering the way everything is shaping out. Like, what minutes is he going to get?
That makes no sense at all. But to have him as just a presence.
Right. To have him as a presence when he's sitting on the bench, being a leader, totally see it.
And I could see them doing it, to be honest.
But you already have that in UD.
It's not the same, but yeah, I get that.
But UD is the one, right? Like UD is
UD's the one. I don't think
Goran guy.
I don't think Goran compares to that. I don't think it's the same type of leader. I think you get something completely different from Goron that wouldn't even try to replace UD. I think we are better off finding PJ a backup
Yes.
in the buyout market. I don't know who that would be exactly because I honestly don't even know who's left. But would I love, just for making my heart warm and fuzzy, for Goran to come back? Absolutely.
The warm and fuzzies would totally be there. The thing that I will say, and I will agree with you on, is I think Milwaukee makes more sense for him.
It does.
And I think he has more basketball left in him. He's not at the point where he can't be out there on the court.
It also gives me even more of a reason to go to Milwaukee and watch Bucks Heat.
You say more of a reason, but it's just a reason. Like there's
no, I mean to go to a Heat game in
right.
Milwaukee.
No, for sure. But like,
yeah,
Milwaukee.
No, I mean that. I will say they did something really smart with that arena. There's not one single bad seat in the house, and those tickets are not expensive at all. So they knew what they were doing that way.
Awesome. They swept us. So right now I'm still on like, screw you, Milwaukee. So.
Oh yeah. No, like I
don't move past things.
Yeah.
It takes a while.
I know.
Once we beat them in the playoffs,
sure,
I have moved past it.
Okay.
Until then, right. Screw you, Milwaukee. But yeah, I think he can still play. So I would want to see him going somewhere where he's going to play. And here it would just make me sad because here it would just feel kind of like the winding down to retirement with little to no minutes.
Yeah.
So maybe next year there'll be a spot for him, right? Like maybe Gabe Vincent moves on to somewhere else. Maybe there's some more minutes there for point guard so he can come in. But for now, I'm okay with him going somewhere else looking for a ring.
Speaking of contracts, real quick, Caleb Martin was converted to a regular contract.
Yeah.
Happy for him.
Inevitable.
The question though is, and I don't really remember who I saw tweeting about this because it could have honestly been multiple people. But do we have a chance of keeping him around next season?
So I don't know. I'm not a great person for contract stuff and all that.
It's not my thing either.
Right. Just because there's a lot to dig into and there's a lot of written things. So you move them.
I will say a few people were questioning. I'll put it that way. Some people were questioning whether or not we could. So I just thought I would bring that up because I would be sad to lose him.
Right. So here's where it really comes into question, right? Give me the way you see the season ending. Just whatever it is. Your current prediction. I know you don't like to look ahead, but currently you see the Miami Heat season ending pop. Like at what point?
I see us in the Eastern Finals.
Okay. So let's just say we lose Eastern Conference Finals. I'm not saying that's 100% what you think is going to happen, but let's just run with that.
It depends who we're playing. Yeah. So we're at least there.
It depends on the performances. It depends on all the stuff. I'm assuming if we've made it to that point, most likely the team was fairly healthy, right? If the team is fairly healthy, you have an idea of who's in the lineup. My question then comes in the form of, who do you think played more minutes, Victor or Caleb Martin?
Along the way or in the finals?
Just obviously don't count. You can't count from before, right? Victor's available. Because I guess you could, but like, who's going to be more crucial to the success moving forward, Victor or Caleb, in your opinion?
It's hard because I think with when he comes back, and I know Victor is close to return, and we will touch upon that in a second, but so much of the season has already gone by that by the time I personally think that we're going to feel completely confident in him, just because not only forget about, last season, whatever, just like any player coming back, I think we're going to be, I hope we're going to be cautious in how we're going to bring him back. So part of me thinks that it will be Caleb that would have more.
Okay.
I still think Depot though makes more of an impact as an X factor. So I think actually, even if his performance is more limited, I think his being out there will be more impactful. Yeah.
Because I think that's what it might come down to in a lot of different ways. Which one you want to give money to, because Victor signed a minimum because no one in the NBA really knew what was going on. He wanted to be here. He signed that contract. If he blows up in this short game stretch that he's going to come back, right? End of the season into playoffs. If he blows up, if he plays well, if he is the guy that I think he can be, he's going to demand a contract, a pretty sizable one at that. Caleb Martin is also going to demand a contract when the offseason comes along.
As he should.
I don't think that's going to be anywhere near what Victor's is going to be. So then it comes down to, do the Heat think Victor is worth that money, even with the re-injury opportunity, or do they see themselves investing in Caleb Martin? Now, there's most likely a way that the Heat might be able to pay both. I'm just not sure exactly how it would work because there's a lot of money already out there. You have to restructure things. And then the moment Tyler's contracts have to come up, that's a whole other part of it that you really have to discuss. So I think those two are going to be a really big part of that. And again, maybe I'm totally wrong on the contract stuff and they can sign all of them and be totally fine. That just doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
No.
Especially when you look at some of the big fish that the Heat are looking to maybe acquire in the offseason. People talked about Donovan Mitchell. People still talk about Bradley Beal. That's a tough thing to juggle.
How would you feel about Donovan now that you brought that up?
I'd be happy with Donovan. I like Donovan Mitchell. I would, tip my hat to Dwayne Wade. Thank you for being an insurgent over there in Utah. Thank you for doing your time there, right? Nobody wants to be there. You did, just to get us Donovan. The trade packages I've looked at, obviously you make them because Donovan is such a great player, such an impactful player. It would be sad, though, to see someone like Tyler and Duncan go because I think they are good players. I think they have a place where they fit. It's just hard for me to really justify passing on Donovan Mitchell. I think he's too good of a player, and I think he would buy in big time into the Heat system.
It's interesting you say that because I was about to say, in theory, I agree with you, but I actually can't imagine what he looks like in Miami. And I don't mean that in a negative way. There's some players who right off the bat, I'm like, yeah, like this fit makes sense. Like, and I've been saying it from the start. When we found out about PJ, I was like, oh, this is a no-brainer, the way that he fits in. I don't quite know how Donovan looks. I'm not saying he wouldn't buy in. It's clear that, at least somewhere along the line, he has said that he would be interested because otherwise I don't feel like it would keep coming up. It's hard for me to envision. Now, do I think that obviously Wade having such a close touch point with him makes a difference? Absolutely. I think that, Wade had some impact probably regarding Jimmy arriving.
Oh, for sure.
But yeah, I am curious to see. I know we talked about this in, I think last week. The Beal thing, I'm over at this point. It's like we've tried Wolf one too many times. I'm not saying that I would like not.
If you wanted to be here, you had a lot of different chances to express that and try to be here. You were on the fence too much. Like, come on.
That ship has sailed. It's talked into the ground. But it is. I'm gonna be curious to see, what happens with this and in general. But I am happy for Caleb.
Yeah, I just think my thing with Donovan is, I think Donovan adds what we all want Tyler to be later on. And I'm not saying that they're the same kind of player at all, or that Tyler's ever going to come anywhere near what Donovan Mitchell is doing. But our hope is that Tyler becomes this automatic scorer that we know we can rely on night in and night out to have 24 plus, right? Obviously, you're going to have bad games. You're also going to have really great ones. Donovan already is that guy. The way I see him fit with this team already is he comes in, he gets you those points, takes some of the pressure off of Kyle on feeling like he has to make a lot of points, takes a lot of pressure off of Jimmy. If you watch that Mavericks team, there's a lot of times where he's like forcing up some shots. It's like, what are we doing here? Right. Bam can play a little bit more effortlessly, right? They can play a little bit more cohesive because they know they have their go-to guy points wise. And it's just a really easy way to run the offense. Defensively, I don't know too much about Donovan Mitchell. I'm not going to lie because I haven't watched too many Utah Jazz games, but I'm sure he'd do well enough. If you could put a lineup together, and this is where I'm seeing, if you could put a lineup together that's Kyle, Donovan, Jimmy, PJ, Bam.
That's scary.
That is a hell of a lineup. And I don't know what the bench is, but it doesn't have to be all that much. At that point, you'd probably take a Caleb Martin, right? Because you definitely wouldn't be able to afford Victor if he blows up the way he can. Max Strus is still there, so you've got some outside shooting. You could probably keep Gabe Vincent. Maybe you even bring back Goran Dragic for another go. You have Omer still because he's got a 2-year deal, I believe it is. That's one hell of a team. That is one hell of a team. And I think the pieces fit really well together. I think they would, especially since Donovan and Bam have kind of a history. And how many times do we have to see Donovan in a Dwayne Wade Miami Heat jersey? Right. So
Yeah, it's the likelihood is there. I just don't
I just
know
think it makes
how
sense.
likely it will be.
The likeliness is what I'm not sure of. He does seem like the
Yeah.
kind of guy that would want to be loyal. Then again, his teammate gave him COVID. So who knows? Who knows? I mean, I'd rather be down in Miami. Sounds nicer than Utah.
We know how I feel about Rudy anyway. So thank you.
Yeah.
Next.
Rudy can rest in peace. So what else do we have to talk
I
about?
think the only other topic in relation to this anyway, the big swapperoo.
Yes. Big old
James Harden,
Rudies.
Ben Simmons.
Go ahead
We
and
did talk
about
about this.
I want to get the exact details on that trade.
You just want me to fill some time here?
Yeah, just like vamp a little bit. I'm not editing this out, by the way.
I am slightly surprised it went down only because on paper it seemed so ridiculous that I was like, this isn't going to happen. This has been so hyped and talked about that at this point I was just kind of not buying it. It happened. I will say this. I understand that in a way they both got rid of problems without taking on the problem, if that makes sense. Like, listen, I have said I am not a Harden fan. He had every right to be frustrated with Kyrie. I don't fault him for that. And for him to want to get out because of that, I understand. Ben Simmons, I hate the narratives going around right now about his mental health. We don't know what's up. It's really not our place. We should not be commenting on it. I will say, environment, any toxic work environment can have a detrimental effect on someone's health. So if that is actually the case for him to get out, sure, he's going to be a completely different player now that he's out of that system. Still, I'm not fazed by either team. I don't think that the 76ers have anything on us, and the Nets do nothing for me. And I will keep saying it. The only team I'm scared of is the Bucks. So I am curious to see how this experiment turns out. I'm just not really bothered.
Right. So the specifics of the trade, if I'm reading it correctly off of ESPN, James Harden and Paul Millsap going to Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even know Paul Millsap was still in the league. That dude has been around forever.
Yeah, it's good for him.
Oh my gosh. Ben Simmons, Seth Curry, Doc Rivers' son-in-law,
correct,
if I'm not mistaken. Hilarious. Mm-hmm. Andre Drummond and 2 first-round picks, all going to Brooklyn. Who am I more afraid of in this situation of the two teams? I will say I think both teams improved because now they're getting players that are actually going to play.
I think they improved because they got rid of players who were disgruntled. And I think that alone on a base level, once you do that, you're improving. Now, obviously, you then got players who should, in theory, be good enough to make a difference. So, yeah, I think they got better. For me, it's just I'm not worried about either of them when it comes to who the Heat go up against.
I am less worried about the 76ers than the Nets, personally, because there's just something about when we play the Sixers, the Heat just really know their way around it.
I also think that there's a greater likelihood that the Harden and Embiid dynamic implodes before Simmons, KD, Kyrie go to shambles.
And that is because I think they're two stronger personalities. Right. It's like 2 strong personalities in Harden and Embiid. Right. So if they do clash.
To Embiid's credit, I'm not really a fan. I do think he has left a lot of the antics behind. And I think that a lot of his concentration now.
Not if you saw that double step back fadeaway 3 he took.
Well, no, but in terms of, I think his priority is winning. I don't think that he's in it he seemed a little bit, and it's weird to say this because he's in the league already, but there was a little bit of like clout chasing going on where it's like he wanted to be known as a certain type of guy in the league. I think now he wants to win. I
think it was after so much time out with injury, he just wanted to show people this is why I'm here and why people talk about me the way they do.
But even the trolling now is funny, whereas I think before it was so forced almost. There was something inauthentic about him, to me at least, before. Now I think he's there. Harden, I'm sorry. I can't say the same for him.
He said a lot of
man,
different things too. He says that now the goal is a championship with the Sixers.
It's just, I don't know if he knows what he believes anymore. And that's a dangerous place to be because you're just kind of spewing a bunch of stuff without any principle behind it and without any work ethic or drive or motivation. And I don't know. I don't see this experiment working out very well. And I don't actually think it's going to be Embiid's fault. But I do think that getting both of them out of their prior systems, it will be a fresh start for them both. So at least for a little bit in the beginning, things will be smoother on both sides.
Well, and actually Harden even said too that he didn't get to pick Brooklyn. That he didn't pick where he was traded to, that it just happened. But that seems a little fishy, bro. It feels like it just kind of went south and you're like, no, it's because they traded me to somewhere I didn't want to be.
He does a lot of talking without actually saying
He's
much.
a whiner. On the net side of things, there's just I see where it could work with Ben
potentially
and Kevin Durant, right? Where building a team around Ben Simmons, in my opinion, is never going to get you a championship. Not if he's your focal point, but he's not the main piece. He's not even close to the main piece. It's Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant is the guy. Kevin Durant runs that team. Now, Kevin Durant doesn't run the offense, but I think their size, that's going to be pretty brutal for a lot of teams.
Yeah, I'll agree with that
to get after,
for sure.
Because normally your issue is if you have Ben as your starting point guard, then you run into the issues of having too many large players that can't shoot from outside very well. But Kevin Durant kind of covers that up. If Kevin Durant plays the 4, Ben Simmons has the 4 size, Ben runs it from the point, Kevin can do the outside stuff. They kind of feed off each other. The rest of the team plays kind of well. One player that I have always loved from the Nets, Bruce Brown, former University of Miami player.
Every time I watch the Nets, I think of you because of that, I swear.
Bruce Brown is great. I love him because he was kind of like that scrappy dude that you wanted him to do well. And he's just continued to find his place in the NBA. He would be a beautiful fit.
I literally was thinking about you every time. And when I was watching that game, I was like, Michael's probably so happy right now.
If he played down here, oh, that fit is seamless.
Yeah.
Completely seamless. But so I see where the Nets could work. I think the Nets improved. I think Kyrie's going to be available for more games, although that's not always a great thing for them. But that is a team now that I am slightly more worried about, but I'm not scared of, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
They're going to come up from, I don't remember where they are right now in the standings. They're 8th right now in the standings.
Yeah, they were 10th of last week.
They'll finish the season probably round 4, if I had to guess.
But how funny would it be if they didn't and they needed to be in the play-in?
I mean, if they were in the play-in, that would be crazy, but you have one guy to blame, and that guy's Kyrie Irving. Well, I mean, there's just no other way around that, right? So
you won't hear anything different from me.
So that's what's going on around the NBA. That's what happened around the trade deadline. Those are some of the changes, but we saved the best for last.
We did.
Well, actually, time out. No. That's for last. So let's get to the other thing first. Thoughts and prayers to Eric Spoelstra, who now has to spend a weekend in Cleveland. Awful scenario for him.
Although if Ethan survived in Cleveland, I think Spo will be okay.
Did he survive though? I think he's a different man ever since.
Ethan gets lost every time he drives home from the FXT Cleveland. Now arena. So
FTX.
Oh, sure. I hate the name change so much that apparently I don't even know what it's called.
I was never a huge fan of American Airlines Arena because but the Mavericks always had American Airlines Center, and then we played them twice in the finals, and it was like, oh, this game's at American Airlines Arena, and this game's at American Airlines Center. No, it was annoying. I like the new name. Plus, the commercial with Udonis Haslem and everybody buying crypto is pretty cool.
Speaking of, sorry to interrupt. I was under the impression that our very own Kyle Lowry was going to have a Super Bowl ad. And I don't know if I missed it because I was watching with friends and, like sometimes whatever. Did you see that ad? I found it online, but I did not actually see it air on TV. And I was very upset.
I didn't see it, but then again, I started watching the game like right when the game started.
Okay.
So sometimes some of the commercials come on before. Like I know
we had
I had to watch
a little bit of a
Strange
Wingstop
trailer
debacle because my friend went to pick up the wings and then he couldn't find parking. And then we were like, what do we do with the food? Because like, what if you have to park too far? So I might have missed it as well. I did see Jimmy's though. Loved
did
every
see
moment
Jimmy's.
of it. But I am just curious if anyone knows what's up with that. Hit me up. Just let me know if it did actually air because I was super excited. I literally went into the evening telling my friends, like, Kyle has a commercial. We need to watch out for it. And then nothing.
I didn't see that one. I saw the Jimmy commercial. I was annoyed at the one variation of that commercial where they were talking about the organic, whatever. I'm like, you've gone too far. Like I don't drink beer, but that pushed me further into never
I
drinking
don't drink
it.
beer either. It doesn't get me buzzed enough and it just makes me full.
But just like the way they were advertising it too, like it was some chick and it was like the whole, oh, organic, 0 calorie, blah 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 blah. I'm like, is there quinoa in this thing?
No, but that's a selling. If I had to drink beer, that's 100% the beer I'd go for, like no doubt.
Well, they hit their target market
Yeah.
beautifully, I guess.
That's
I'm
true.
definitely not that market. It just told me like I'm never touching any of that stuff.
No, like I don't. The hard seltzers I drink like cannot have any sugar. Like,
sugar-free ketchup. So yeah, Spoelstra is going to be coaching at the All-Star game. That
I'm
became
excited for All-Star
official.
Weekend.
But I'm just
Now
gonna jump
best
into it.
for
Now
last. Drum roll.
best for last. It is here. It is happening. Victor Oladipo has been sent to Sioux Falls to start playing some games so that he can come back to the Miami Heat. I was beside myself when I saw the tweet. Every video I've seen of him working out. No, that's because I don't do that.
Mr. Michael.
Oh, excuse me. Should I not have bladder control when I get excited about things? That's a weird thing to want to happen to me.
We were doing so well this episode, really. I actually made a mental note of like, wow, we stayed on track. We didn't really like act crazy. And
you
now
did this. I didn't do it. You did this.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it is usually me anyway.
As long as we can agree it's your fault. But Victor is going to get some game reps in. He's going to start working towards coming back. I think it'll probably happen a week or two after the All-Star break.
Yeah.
Victor is here. The trade deadline. Who? It's Victor season. Look, you put him in this lineup. I think the defense is going to take it up a whole other level. I think it gives you much more flexibility with the lineups. Whose minutes he takes, I don't know. But honestly, I don't care. He can have all of them. Because what the man did in his 4-game stint on one leg was great. If he can do more than that for the rest of the season.
I sure hope so.
Well, what he did then was great. Right.
I'm rooting for the man. I like an earth sign. He's a Taurus. Come on now.
I don't care what sign he is.
I do.
I just care that I love my thingamajig, and I am rooting for him. And now all these people are all excited. And again, I will say this every time. Oh, Victor Oladipo, listen. These are the same people that called me out when I bought the jersey last year.
And now you're gonna wear it, and you're gonna wear it proudly.
Well, I was always wearing it proudly.
But now you're gonna do it, and you're gonna rub it in people's faces.
I'm considering wearing it in New York, but I don't know enough about Knicks fans. Like the only thing I know about Knicks fans is Bing Bong. That's all I know. So
now it's gonna be stuck in my head the rest of the night.
So I don't know what to do with that. But listen, Victor is coming back. He's on track. It's happening. He's looking good. Are you as excited about Victor as I am?
I'm excited. I'm not going to claim to be as excited as you. That would be a crime. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do. I really just like the support I've seen from him from the bench. You can tell he's engaged. He's excited. I think he's ready. I just want us to be cautious with his minutes at first. That is all I'm asking. I just don't want
First game out there, 48 minutes. You're not coming off the floor.
Okay, Tom Thibodeau.
Is that how you pronounce it?
Mm-hmm.
I guess I always knew it was a TH Thibodeau. Oh, okay. Yeah, I knew it was Thibodeau, but then people call him Tibbs.
Tibbs, yeah.
Okay. That's just like a nickname, but it's not Thibodeau. Is he French or something? What's that last name?
Mm-hmm.
No wonder I don't like him. So yeah, Victor's coming back.
I love the French. I can't support this.
I love me a good croissant. I could have croissants all day. Baguette, fantastic.
Oh my God. Wow. I have chills down my spine from how bad that accent was.
Is a baguette.
Oh, okay. We have to end this now. Good luck to the Heat tomorrow, or I guess today when you guys are listening.
And good luck to Victor Oladipo in Sioux Falls. Have a croissant on me, my man.
Good night, y'all.